The European Union's Schengen area, encompassing 27 countries, operates a simple yet impactful rule, the 90-180-day rule. In essence, citizens from countries outside the European Economic Area can only spend a maximum of 90 days within the Schengen zone during any 180-day period. This rule applies regardless of visa status or property ownership within the EU. While designed to manage short-term stays, the rule has significant implications for non-EU homeowners, particularly British citizens post-Brexit. Imagine owning a beautiful villa in the Spanish countryside, purchased as a retirement haven. Under the 90-180 rule, enjoying that dream home for extended periods becomes impossible. The rule effectively limits long-term stays, forcing homeowners to carefully ration their time within the EU. This restriction has sparked debate about its fairness, particularly for those who contribute to local economies through property taxes and spending. The 90-180 rule has become a point of contention, with many arguing for exemptions or modifications for homeowners. For many non-EU citizens, owning a property in the EU represents a lifelong dream. It's a chance to immerse oneself in a different culture, enjoy a relaxed pace of life, and create lasting memories. However, the 90-180 rule throws a wrench into these aspirations. Suddenly, that idyllic retirement in the French countryside becomes punctuated by mandatory departures. Homeowners find themselves tracking their stays meticulously, ensuring they don't overstay their welcome. The freedom to enjoy their property whenever they please is curtailed, replaced by a system that feels restrictive and unwelcoming. This restriction has a ripple effect on families. Grandparents owning properties in the EU face limitations in spending quality time with their grandchildren. Remote workers hoping to embrace the digital nomad lifestyle in Europe find themselves bound by the 90-day clock. The rule creates obstacles for those seeking to fully integrate and contribute to their local communities. Adding insult to injury, non-EU homeowners also face the complexities of non-resident taxation policies. These policies vary significantly across EU countries, creating a confusing patchwork of regulations. While homeowners contribute through property taxes, they often face higher income tax rates on rental income compared to residents. In some countries, capital gains tax on property sales can be significantly higher for non-residents. These tax burdens, coupled with the limitations imposed by the 90-180 rule, fuel the perception that non-EU homeowners are being treated unfairly. They contribute to local economies but are denied the same rights and privileges as their EU counterparts. This lack of tax parity further complicates matters for those seeking to establish deeper ties with their chosen EU country. It creates a sense of being treated as outsiders even when they consider their EU property to be their true home. The impact of the 90-180 rule extends beyond individual homeowners, affecting the broader EU tourism industry and local businesses. With limited stays, non-EU homeowners are less likely to invest in property renovations or engage in local spending to the same extent as residents. This reduction in spending has a knock-on effect on businesses that rely on tourism, particularly in areas popular with second homeowners. Restaurants, shops, and local services all experience a decline in revenue when homeowners are forced to curtail their stays. The rule therefore inadvertently hampers economic activity in regions that rely heavily on tourism. Furthermore, the 90-180 rule discourages potential investors from purchasing properties in the EU. Faced with restrictions on their ability to enjoy their investment, many opt for destinations with more welcoming policies. This reluctance to invest further diminishes the economic benefits that non-EU homeowners could bring to the EU. Section 5. A question of fairness, the homeowner's perspective. From the perspective of non-EU homeowners, the 90-180 rule combined with unfavorable tax policies feels inherently unfair. They argue that they contribute significantly to their local communities through property taxes, spending and investment, yet they are treated differently from their EU neighbours. They are denied the freedom to enjoy their properties fully and face a higher tax burden without the same rights and benefits as residents. This disparity creates a sense of resentment, fueling the perception that the EU is prioritizing its own citizens while treating non-EU homeowners as outsiders. This sentiment is exacerbated by the fact that many non-EU homeowners have deep connections to their chosen EU countries. They may have family ties, have lived and worked in the EU previously, or simply fallen in love with a particular region. The 90-180 rule disregards these connections, treating them as temporary visitors rather than valued members of the community. Section 6. ES, the digital gatekeeper, arrives. Adding further complexity to the situation is the upcoming implementation of the EU Entry-Exit System, or EES. This digital system aims to track the entries and exits of non-EU nationals, automating the monitoring of the 90-180 rule. While intended to streamline border control, the EES has raised concerns about increased wait times, logistical challenges, and potential privacy issues. For non-EU homeowners, the EES represents a significant shift. Instead of relying on passport stamps, their movements will be digitally tracked, making overstays virtually impossible. While proponents argue that the EES will enhance security and border control, critics worry about its potential to create bottlenecks at borders and intrude on travelers' privacy. The staggered rollout of the EES, beginning in October 2025, is expected to cause some initial confusion. Travelers will need to navigate a mix of old and new systems, potentially leading to delays and frustration. The full implications of the EES for non-EU homeowners will become clearer once it is fully implemented, but it's likely to bring about a new era of travel within the Schengen area. Section 7. Real-world realities, stories from the ground. The impact of the 90-180 rule is perhaps best understood through real-world examples. Take, for instance, the story of a retired British couple who purchased a villa in Portugal. They envisioned spending their golden years enjoying the Portuguese sunshine and embracing the local culture. However, the 90-180 rule forced them to split their time between Portugal and the UK, disrupting their retirement plans and limiting their ability to integrate into their new community. In another case, a British entrepreneur who had built a successful business in Spain found himself caught in the crosshairs of the 90-180 rule. Despite employing local staff and contributing to the Spanish economy, he was forced to make frequent trips back to the UK to avoid overstaying his visa. The rule hampered his business operations and created unnecessary stress and uncertainty. These stories highlight the human cost of the 90-180 rule. It's not just about numbers and regulations. It's about real people's lives being affected. The rule creates divisions, fosters resentment, and undermines the sense of community that many non-EU homeowners seek in their chosen EU countries. Section 8. Navigating the labyrinth, potential solutions. Addressing the concerns of non-EU homeowners requires a nuanced approach. One potential solution is to introduce a special visa category for homeowners, allowing them to stay in their properties for extended periods without being subject to the 90-180 rule. This would provide much-needed flexibility and recognize their contributions to local communities. Another option is to establish clearer and more consistent tax policies for non-resident homeowners across the EU. Harmonizing tax regulations would reduce confusion and ensure that homeowners are treated fairly, regardless of their nationality. Furthermore, engaging in open dialogue with non-EU homeowners is crucial. Understanding their concerns, addressing their grievances, and involving them in the decision-making process can help bridge the divide and find mutually beneficial solutions. Section 9. Conclusion: striking a balance. The 90-180 rule presents a complex dilemma for the EU. While designed to manage immigration and security concerns, it has unintended consequences for non-EU homeowners, the tourism industry, and local economies. Finding a balance between maintaining control over borders and fostering welcoming and inclusive communities is essential. As the EU moves forward with the implementation of the EES and grapples with the concerns of non-EU homeowners, it faces a critical juncture. By embracing dialogue, exploring innovative solutions, and prioritizing fairness, the EU can create a more equitable system that benefits both its citizens and those who choose to make the EU their home away from home.